Hello there! Welcome to Cerro Gordo. This abandoned mining town has been my home for the past 20 months straight. And this month, I did all sorts of things. I continued rebuilding a hotel, I explored all sorts of abandoned mines, I 3D mapped some of the buildings here, had some surprise visitors, and all sorts of things. All that in my 20th month living here in an abandoned ghost town. All right, so let's dive right into it. The most important project at Cerro Gordo, my project above and beyond all others, and that is the rebuilding of the American Hotel. We tragically lost the hotel June of last year, and I spent pretty much every day since trying to rebuild it. And that process of rebuilding it has been just a logistical nightmare. And the main reason it is a logistical nightmare is the location. So right now I'm sitting at about 8,500 feet, and the closest real road is down in Keeler, which is at an elevation of about 3,000 feet. In between there and here, there's a 7-mile dirt road where you're gaining about 5,000 feet in elevation. And so getting anything here is difficult, and getting anything here that is heavy is especially difficult. Earlier this year, after I had cleared the debris, gotten plans approved by the county, and wanted to start rebuilding, the new hotel called for footers, concrete footers. So I needed 81 yards of concrete to pour the footers for the new hotel. And 81 yards is about at least 10 full trucks. And so I spent 6 to 8 months calling every single concrete company in the area. Every one of them said no, there's easier jobs, it's too dangerous. No way we're bringing our trucks up that dirt road. So I was stuck, and thanks to this channel and a guy named Dave Sparks, we figured it out. Dave is based in Utah. He has a diesel shop up there. And him and I connected because of you guys. The people that watch this channel and the people that watch his channel connected us. And soon Dave was here. Dave, to his credit, purchased a concrete truck in Utah, brought it here, and over the course of a week and a dozen volunteers, we mixed 81 yards of concrete right here and poured it, and the footings were done. And it was huge. It was a huge momentum swing for me. It felt like finally we were getting somewhere in this rebuild after banging my head against the wall for so long. And then you realize that the next step in this process of building a basement would be to put up just about 4,000 of these. So 4,000 cinder blocks. And of course, nowhere near here makes cinder blocks, nowhere near here delivers cinder blocks, and certainly nobody anywhere brings it up this 7-mile dirt road. All right, today is a very exciting day because today the construction on the American Hotel continues. In just a minute, I will be taking this 5-ton beast down to Keeler, where there is 3 semi-trucks full of cinder blocks arriving from Bakersfield. I will then shuttle said blocks from down there to up here, and at the end, this basement will continue. And I'm really excited to try to get it done now, because while it might look like good weather currently, it is gonna start snowing up here. And so I need to get this done so that way this winter, we can still work on everything that isn't cement, because cement is very temperature driven. So that's the goal today. I am gonna be making as many runs as I can in that 5-ton. Slightly nervous because the brake fluid is a little bit low, but I got more at the bottom of the hill, and it's almost time to start shuttling. All right, you guys made it. These are the man who delivered the block, helping rebuild the hotel. What's your guys' names? Eric.
Kevin.
Where are you guys out of?
Bakersfield.
Bakersfield. Cool. Well, I think I need to go get the forklift, and then I'll start unloading some of these things. When the 3 trucks arrived with 60 pallets of block weighing 3,000 pounds each, it was then up to me to unload all of these pallets of block down there in Keeler. And so I was very quickly thrown into the on-the-job learning of having to use a forklift for the first time, while I had 3 impatient truck drivers watching me, wanting to get home to their families. And so I did it. Eventually all of the pallets made their way off of the trucks, And that left me with the next logistical issue of getting those blocks from Keeler, 7 miles and 5,000 feet below this, all the way up to here. And once again, Dave Sparks played a pretty big role in that. Earlier this month, I was up cutting in a new road, minding my own business, when Dave and the crew showed up and gifted me with a 5-ton military truck. No way! Dude! This thing is a beast. It's 6-wheel drive. It's from Vietnam, so it's old. It looks cool. It can haul pretty much everything. And so that was it. At least I had a way to get supplies up here. Now, having the truck is one thing. Using the truck and using it to bring 60 pallets of block is something totally else. And so next day, after all the pallets got unloaded down in Keeler, it was time to bring them up. So, plan right now is to go down with the truck and get the rest of those 64 pallets, probably 3 at a time. And so what we're trying to do here is create like a loading dock so that we can back up to it and it's more level than trying to having to pick them up. Because down there, we have a forklift, but up here, we only have that backhoe. So it's kind of a DIY situation of getting these blocks off. And the blocks also aren't secured, they're just loose. So we have to secure them down there and then bring them up here and unload them. So it's gonna be a very, very full day of running up and down that hill. All right, so as you can see, back down here, day 2, and this is gonna be a lot of block and trips up that hill with this 5-ton. So I put up an Instagram post asking some of y'all if you could help, and we got some people that came. And so shortly, there should be some assistance coming. And until then, I'm gonna start uploading. I'm gonna start loading some of this block on there, and we'll see what happens. All right, as you can see, first load going up. We got a lot of rebar, a lot of block. How are you feeling about this first trip up?
Nervous.
Started back up Cerro Gordo Road, and it promptly died. Well, truck died, won't turn over, won't cool down. Not really sure what's wrong with it. I'm only about a quarter of the way in. I got my dust gear on and everything. The guys that were helping with the other truck, I said to just go ahead. I thought I just needed to cool down, but now won't turn over, so yeah. So the diagnosis is truck staying there tonight, no moving it, no belt, so we're gonna head back up the hill and maybe enjoy a cocktail or two after a day like that. All right, good morning. Day 3, working on the block. As you can see, there's about 6 pallets up here, but today I have a broken down 5-ton, about 3/4 of the way down the mountain. I have 44 more pallets of block like that need to come up. So it's gonna be another really long day. But luckily, this town has something that this town has never had before, and that is all of you. And so I put out a little call to action on my Instagram, asking, hey, if anybody has a truck, if anybody has a way to help me bring some of this block up, let me know. And just like that, we had a fleet. We had 3 or 4 different trucks helping run up these pallets. And it just kind of warmed my heart, It gave me this feeling of collaboration and progress that was probably one of my favorite memories at Cerro Gordo so far. When we got the pallets up here, we figured out that the quickest way to unload them was just by hand. And so we would form these chains of 8 to 10 people and just be singing and cheering and laughing as we're unloading 4,000 cinder blocks. And it was amazing. It just felt like this team building and this kind of like working towards a common goal. And I remember in the moment just thinking how far this town has come in the last 2 years. When I think about March 2020, coming up here by myself and working on a little cabin on the backside and having to, screw in boards in the snow And then I was sitting there just watching 12 people laughing and having the time of their life, literally unloading cinder block, which isn't the most enjoyable task. It just filled me with a lot of gratitude, a lot of gratitude for this channel. This channel is pretty much what brought all of those people together, and it's what's rebuilding this hotel. What a difference a day can make. I have most of the pallets up here. There's about 10 left down in Keeler, but I don't think I'm doing any runs today in the 5-ton, given the brakes were given out a little bit and all the other issues the last few days. But look at this. You can see the block starting to stack up, so all of this will become the basement there. I have it pretty much clear over there. I don't have a forklift up here, so all these are hand stacked. And so we have just lines of people stacking them. Just an amazing weekend of collaboration and just teamwork, and it just felt really amazing. And it took about, I think, a week, to get them all done. I eventually got the 5-ton back in action. Luckily, again, we had some mechanic volunteers that were up here, and they managed to get some belts back on that thing. We didn't find the perfect belts, but we found some belts that made it work. And over the course of a few days, we just kept making runs, kept making runs up here. And when all is said and done, we now have 60 pallets of block. Remember, 3,000 pounds each pallet up here ready to go. And it just gives me that second win or third win or fifth win or whatever win this is at this point, that this hotel is gonna happen again. I am hoping that now that the majority of the very heavy material is up here, meaning the cement is poured, the block will be done, then I hope everything from here on out is a little bit smoother sailing. But at the same time, if it doesn't go smooth, if there are more hiccups along the way, which there will be, I think I'm more prepared for them than I would have been 18 months ago or 2 years ago. I think that's probably the biggest skill or lesson that I've taken away from my time here. It's just that everything is figure outable, a fire, an earthquake, a flood, a 7-mile dirt road with a steep grade that's not maintained. You find a way to get it done. And so as this progresses and more problems arise, I'm confident in my ability to figure them out. And a lot of that confidence is thanks to this channel and thanks to all of you who have lent your expertise, your skills, and just even your hands to unload the block. So I just kind of want to start off this month with a really, really big thank you to everybody that watches this channel. Whether you know it or not, you are helping rebuild history. And to me, that's just super exciting. The first time I made one of these monthly update videos, it was after 6 months of living here. At the time I was just creating the video to try to capture this crazy experience that was going on, living in this abandoned ghost town. I had no idea, what the future might hold. And I think at the time, if you would have told me that 14 months later, I'd be sitting basically in the same spot, still working on this town, I don't know if I believe it. It just didn't seem like that was the course at that period of time. But now I do. This is my home. This is where I love being. And the idea of being here for another 14 months doesn't seem crazy at all. When I think about the alternatives, I just can't imagine anywhere where I would be so fulfilled with my work every day. The history of this town is one that I truly care about. I truly think it's important, and I love documenting it. And so this month, I was very excited because I found a few new ways to document the history here, as well as maybe make some history of my own. So probably my second favorite thing that happened this month relates to something that a lot of you asked for, a lot of you suggested, and I am very, very excited to announce has begun. And that is the 3D mapping of some of the different mines here at Cerro Gordo, as well as some of the buildings and even some of the artifacts. Imagine not just watching the mine exploration in 2D, but being able to scroll in there and look around almost like a video game. Or even this building, coming in here and not just seeing what's on the shelf behind me, but being able to pick up this hammer and read what's on the other side of it. that began this month, all thanks to the Corridor crew. And if you guys are familiar with visual effects, you may know Corridor Digital. They have just done some amazing videos in the past. You know, that it's things like the Boston Dynamics parody where they kind of had a robot going around, or some of those Luke Skywalker deep fakes that are very popular, or even fixing what they describe as the worst visual effects in movie history, which they described as The Rock and The Mummy. You know, you see any of those videos, that's the Corridor crew. And I was very fortunate this month because Ren came up, Nick came up, Jan came up, and they came with a guy named Chris, who's the founder of Polycam, which is a 3D LiDAR scanner. All right, so we're up here. What's going on? What are we up to?
I guess we're up here at the Union Mine.
Yep.
And this is the big one, right? We're gonna try to scan it.
Yes. And so how are that gonna go? We're gonna use the drone, we're gonna use our phones, and...
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea here is to use our phones collectively and also the drone here to scan both the exterior and the interior.
Right.
Now, this is a little uncharted territory, especially for me. I'm pretty sure I can scan this whole building with one battery on the Mavic. And Chris, you're thinking you can just do one giant scan of the entire interior just using a bunch of photos.
Yeah, that's the plan. And inside, you capture, that's where the cart is that goes way down deep in the mine.
Yeah.
So if we can scan all of that, and then we can put the two things together, I mean, it's the stretch goal, but I think we should give it a shot.
So when I started talking to Chris, he told me one of the main applications of the 3D LiDAR scanning right now is historical preservation. You know, it's one thing to take a bunch of photos of something to try to recreate it for the future, but having a 3D model of it where every single dimension is measured is just a totally different thing. You know, and if you've watched this channel, you know that my main goal is preserving the history of Cerro Gordo for future generations. So if there's a tool that's simple enough to use on my phone, then I'm all in. You know, so when they got here, the first step was just Chris explaining to us and showing us how to use the app. You know, that took a little bit of time. My first scan was of this hammer, which I think is really cool. You know, for me, it's interesting to like find it back in a mine, show it in a video, but now to try to preserve it in 3D is amazing. They even did a little scan of me, which is a bit freaky, you know, to see myself in 3D, standing next to myself in real time. But that happened, and you know, after we got the hang of it, it became more just like a treasure hunt or a game, but it was great. You know, in between the times, Ren taught me how to one wheel. You know, I gotta say, if there's a salesman for one wheel in the world, it's probably Ren. He's, I believe, like a semi-professional one wheeler, and he just kept going on and on about the benefits. So it was a blast to do that in between the different scans. And then finally, when night fell, it was time to scan a mine. You know, I don't know of any mines that were being 3D scanned here at Cerro Gordo. And to be honest, I don't know how many mines across the world have been 3D scanned, especially of the time era that Cerro Gordo is from.
This should be a pretty good amount of light for some scanning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And what's really cool, what I'm really looking forward to seeing, is actually seeing that from like viewed from outside.
Right.
We'll actually be able to see the scale of the length from that dead end to that dead end in relation to the length of the entire tunnel.
Sure.
And all like the little curves around. Maybe it curves a little bit more than we realize.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm just kind of picturing this tunnel being very straight.
Yeah,
but maybe it's not.
And so we went back in there, and it was just back-breaking work, almost literally for Ren. You know, he was hunched over the whole time, kind of doing this to try to get a good scan of it.
Wait, get your GoPro like really close. On this light right here. Aw, little cute guy. Wow, I did not expect to see bats in here.
Oh yeah. But in the end, I saw some early renders. It looks amazing. I'm super excited to share it with you guys, for you guys to be able to walk through some of the mines here at Cerro Gordo. You know, the mine that we scanned is called the Safeguard. And back in the day, the Safeguard used to connect all the way into the Union Mine. These days, the connection to the Union has collapsed, but it's still a huge mine, and there's lots of features, natural and otherwise. If you watch these videos, you've seen that I created a lounge with a couch and all sorts of things back in the mine. That's in the Safeguard. Further beyond that, there's even a mini golf course. That is back in the Safeguard as well. So hopefully when these renders come out, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about when I sit back in the mine.
There's still more work to do on the video, on all the scans and whatnot, but the stuff that we did get so far is like, I'm blown away by how good it is.
To do that in one day.
Yeah, right?
You know, without like a team of, you know.
Usually it would take like a team of a dozen a week to get some of the stuff that we were able to get in a day.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. We'll bring it on in. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. That's cool.
So good.
Dude, thank you.
Dude, thank you for the hospitality. You're
down.
far too kind.
No month at an abandoned mining town would be complete without some mine exploration. And this month was no different. I found my way into a lot of mines here. You know, there's about 30 miles of mines underneath Cerro Gordo. And sometimes people try to ask how much of them I've explored. If I had to guess, I would guess maybe 20%. You know, even after 2 years, there's just so much to see here. And it's so difficult to get to some of the places that there's always more and more to see. And this month, I made my way into some new mines, as well as some familiar haunts down in the mines themselves. So the first mine this month is a mine that I've been down to quite a few times. If you're watching this channel, you'll know that the main mine here is the Union Mine, and 700 feet down the Union Mine shaft is the only known source of water here at Cerro Gordo. And given that we had so much construction going on, I was gonna need more water. So once again, I found my way down to the 700-foot level of the mine, this time with Craig and Tim, and to once again try to get the pump working. You know, the pump has been an ongoing issue. It seems to every time work for about a week and then go out. We think it might be burning through oil, but there's no oil in the water, there's no oil on the ground, so where's this oil going? You know, it could be losing prime, but we have a submersible pump that should prime the line as well. So there's no great answers, so it seems like every month we find our way down there. And this month was no different, you know, so Craig, Tim, and I huddled into the cage, slowly went down there and checked it out.
See ya. And we're back.
All right, Craig, what we got going on?
Don't know. We're gonna see if we can get this thing pressurized.
And during our time down there, because we were already there, we decided to try to break into this area of the mine that I found when I stayed for 2 days down there. If you haven't seen it, I did this video where I lived down at 700-foot level for 2 days straight. And during that time, I did a lot of exploring. And there was one area where it seemed like if I could just move one rock, I could get past and it might open up a huge entryway for me. So given that we were going down there, Tim brought a lot of new tools. And given there's 3 of us, I felt a little bit more comfortable trying to break into this new area.
Headed back to my home.
That's the rock we gotta move. Yeah. Careful, watch out though. It might bring a bunch of rocks with it. Oh, careful, man, fuck that. All right. Well.
That's all Tim had to say about that.
It's gotta be clear now, yeah?
Yeah.
You know, and eventually it moved. And to me it was super exciting, because if you look on the map, the area where the collapse is, behind it is probably 2/3 of that level of the mine. You know, it's massive, and it leads over to the Jefferson Chimney, which is an area of the mine that I've always been super interested in. Yeah, I'm past, and there's a bunch of timbering. I don't know how far it goes, but I can go take a quick peek if you want. Oh, we're stymied again. And unfortunately, that shaft ends after about 100 yards. You know, no mine exploration is a bust. You know, you might not find what you're looking for, but at least you know. And to me, knowing means that I can kind of cross it off of that mental checklist of places to go. And so now I know that without a lot of work, that way's a dead end, so I can spend my time researching other ways. And if I kind of look at it as just trying to piece together a full history and status report of the mine as it stands today, then they're all successful. And so now I know. And with that, we added more oil back into the pump, turned it all back into the cage, took it 700 feet back up, and I am happy to say that water is, at least for the time being, flowing here at Cerro Gordo, which is extremely useful given all the projects we have going on around here. So the next big mine explore this month was one that I've done before. It's probably the scariest mine exploration I've done in my mind. Yes, well, welcome back to probably the most nerve-wracking moment I had here at Cerro Gordo. This is the Newtown Mine, and below that gate is a 300-foot pit straight down. And I went down it a number of months ago, made a video about it, and the feeling of just dangling on a rope, because down there's nothing to put your feet on or your hands on, you're just dangling on a rope with a 300-foot drop below you, is something that I don't like the feeling of, and the amount of effort required to then ascend up a 300-foot rope is intense. And the other day, for some stupid reason, I was over here, and I thought it'd be really cool to do this drone shot going down the shaft and then coming back out of the shaft. And of course, the drone fell down there, much like those rocks are falling down there. And so now my drone is at the bottom of this 300-foot pit, and it might be sunny right now, but snow is coming very, very soon. And so I think I might go down there to get it. And so basically this is what's gonna happen when I do that. To go down a rope, not a huge deal. I have a descender, it's just creating friction, slowing it down. Whee! Going down is quite a bit of fun. If you've ever been on a rope or you do much on ropes, you'll know that going down is the fun part. It's the going back up that causes issue. And going back up 300 feet is going to be a big issue. And so I'll accomplish that like this. This is called a Jumar. So this captures gain, meaning it'll go up the rope, but not down. It has little teeth inside of it that are catching. And so off of this, I have 2 foot loops. So this will go here, my feet will go in either of these loops, and I'll be able to push up with my legs. This, as it's going up, will capture the gain. And in addition, I'll have this chest descender right here. And this is doing the same thing. This is capturing gain as I go up, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. When you're just dangling there, swaying, feeling the rope underneath you, it's not the most comfortable feeling to me. So I come up here to the hoist just to practice, to make sure that I feel okay. I practice getting stuck almost on purpose. I practice running into knots. I practice changing from my ascender to my descender mid-rope. And I try to make sure that I'm just in the moment, because the worst thing I could do when I'm on that 300 feet is freak out in some way. And so that's what I do these days. In addition, I always wear my helmet. I bring a 4-gas monitor with me anytime I go in the mine in case there's any bad gas. And I do my best. Mines are inherently dangerous, so you can never mitigate all of the risk, but you do what you can. Well, got my battery. I'm 300 feet down. There's the entrance. And That drone I was looking for might have been a waste of effort. It has seen better days. Oh man, it's shredded. But I do have the insurance. So what do you think? You can't lose it and they'll give you any insurance, but if you return some type of drone, they're supposed to replace it for you. So what do you think? You think I can get away with returning this thing? Pack up the drone, and I looked over here, look. Hello, camera. That'll come back up with me. You know, while the drone isn't salvageable and I can't get too much out of it, I think that building of confidence on rope was worth it. And sometimes the only way to get that is to actually go and do it. You can practice 1,000 times up in the hoist house, but until you're actually there dangling, you'll just never get over that feeling. And so I'm excited, you know, it's a build up to a much longer descent I hope to do very soon. I'll leave that out there as a teaser, but 300 feet was a lot, but I'm thinking about something a little bit bigger here in the future. I'm also happy to report all the animals are doing good this month. You know, I think we're all getting ready for winter. Earlier this month, it snowed for the first time. It didn't stick, but it's a pretty clear indication that it's coming. And so if you look back, the alpaca's fur is a lot thicker than it was this summer. They're just kind of staring at me right now. I bought a heating blanket for the cats, so the cats can all cuddle up at night, you know, and stay warm. And for me, I've been preparing a lot too. You know, that means stockpiling food, chopping wood, getting my winter work gear in order. So it's one thing that I've loved, just kind of knowing and understanding and observing in myself over these last 2 years, is just that change towards being more prepared. And I think it's something you could do no matter where you live, you know, whether you have these alpacas or not. But I'm looking forward to winter. You know, I think things will slow down a little bit. I've been running pretty much 12 hours a day for the last 6 or 8 months. So a little bit of time just sitting inside, reading a book sounds pretty good. But ask me again in a couple months, I might change my tune. Look at this, Chachi. It's about as close as he ever got. But overall, good month for the animals, just getting prepared for winter. You know, since moving up here, I've learned all sorts of new hobbies. You know, I know how to use heavy machinery, know how to build cabins, ride a dirt bike, do all sorts of things. But I think most recently, what I've been most excited about is metallurgy. I don't know how you pronounce it, I think that's it. But like the process of refining the ore that comes out of Cerro Gordo. You know, obviously this town was built because of the mineral deposits below it. And so for me, understanding what goes into taking those minerals and turning them into anything useful is very exciting. And it's something I've been doing quite a bit of recently. After I made this last video of making this ring, a lot of you asked, you know, if you could have some type of memento from Cerro Gordo, especially using the silver. The problem is, I just don't have that much of it. But now, after I set up my own furnace, I'm gonna start making more, and quite a bit more. And Alyssa and I have been going back and forth, and we're gonna start making a pendant. And so if you've ever wanted some Cerro Gordo silver of your own, mined and refined right here at the Union Mine, now is your chance. We're gonna start with just 100 pendants. If you're interested in that, there's gonna be a link down below. All of the proceeds are gonna go to the nonprofit that's helping rebuild the American Hotel. So every dollar that you put into it is gonna go to the hotel, you know? And that's very exciting for me to think that I'm once again mining on a small scale silver out of the Union Mine to rebuild the hotel here is, there's something pretty poetic about it. You know what this is looking like? This is looking like a lot more Cerro Gordo silver soon to come. I got my galena, I got my cone molds, I got my crucibles, I got my cupels, I got my furnace now. Look at this thing. I got my flux. I got everything I need to make Cerro Gordo silver. All right, so that's it for that first batch. As you can see, not a lot of silver. In fact, a very small amount, which it would take a lot of that to make anything useful. So we're gonna keep going on that. But all this to say, you can see how special and difficult it is to make this silver. So that's why these 100 pendants that I'm making with Alyssa are so special. You know, all of them are made with care, both in the silver extraction as well as the forming and casting with Alyssa and Jenna. And so if you want to support the town and you want to have a little bit of this of your own, the link is in the description below. There's only 100 of these. After that, there'll be no more. So I hope a lot of you, or 100 of you, get to take a chance of that. Then every dollar of that goes directly into the American Hotel below. So I'm super excited about that. And thank you all so much for your support so far. Look at that. The razor is back. Finally. You know, about 3 or 4 months ago, I lost both my razor and my CRF 250 dirt bike pretty much in the same month. This mountain is difficult to get up. It eats up engines and just causes all sorts of problems on vehicles. But luckily, my guys from TC Motorsports took this razor in, did a full rehab of it. What do we do to it?
So actually what we found out once we got it home is we ran out of oil at one point. And
I ran out of oil. You guys don't have to take credit for that. I ran out of oil.
I wasn't gonna throw you under the bus like that, but yeah, I ran out of oil and we had a catastrophic failure in the head with the valve came apart, and that was the obnoxious knock you guys were hearing. So we decided the best bet was to throw a new fresh engine in there. I know this thing is crucial for you guys up here in Cerro Gordo to get around and get through these hills and stuff like that. So unfortunately, to all of Brent's followers, it took a lot longer than anticipated. The engine took like 2.5 months from the time I ordered it to get to me. So we're here now, and I'm glad I got it to you maybe before the winter months, before it started getting snow and stuff like that, because I imagine that's gonna be hard on the bike and stuff. So you know, we're a firm believer in what you're doing. We love what you're doing, the history you're trying to preserve here, and just having a chance to bring my boys and me and Keith to come up here and be a part of this and see what you're doing. I love the history and love being able to see that, and the fact that you're trying to show that to the world is awesome. So if we can be a small part of that and helping you out and getting you back on your feet, then that's what, you know, us at TC Motorsports, we wanted to do and be a part of this. And you know, we're definitely trying to squeeze our schedule into coming up here and spending a little bit more time and playing in the mountains with the side-by-side. So, you know, hopefully in the future that's something we can do.
Yeah, anytime. As far as dirt bikes, I now have 3. You know, it's kind of one of these habits that is expanding and expanding. But the 250 is probably my favorite. The 250, I've missed this thing for months. Tim took care of it. He is a motorcycle mechanic after all. In addition to being Australian. You need help?
No. This was a lot of fun to do the braking mile, but I'll tell you what. Right by.
Yes. Well, shout out to AMSOIL. Thank you for sending me oil. And having these vehicles back is pretty important to me. You know, my way of unwinding at nights is just to jump in them and go rip on some road that I haven't been on before. And I'm fortunate enough where Cerro Gordo is just surrounded by millions of acres of BLM land with just hundreds of miles of trails. And so pretty much every night I get in one of these. Right around now, I kind of just go out and exploring. And it's just a way to clear my head after a long day. It's a lot of fun. It also allows me to take some amazing drone footage of following me at sunset. And over the last few months, a lot of people have asked me how that drone follows me. It actually flies itself. It's a drone called a Skydio. I have to say, as far as autonomous following drones, it's impossible to beat the Skydio. This thing is crazy. It's the only way to describe it. It can follow me through trees, going 40 miles an hour. It can follow from in front of me, from the side of me, from behind me. It follows me on twisty turny trails. It follows me across the dry lake bed. It follows me pretty much anywhere I want to go. And so if you've asked how I get those shots, this is the answer. And also, a very fun surprise is that Skydio has agreed to give away one of their drones to a viewer of Ghost Town Living. So the details of that are below. It's totally free. It's fully on them. You know, they are the ones that decide to give one away. I am a big fan of it. I think it's the best drone possible for following you. And I can't wait for one of you guys to try it out. So the details on that are below. So let's get this thing up in the air and let's go rip around a little bit. It's been almost 2 years I've been living up here now. And probably the biggest difference from my time living in the city is appreciating all the subtle changes around me, you know, and how noticing these changes can affect your day and in turn your life. And for me, that's what I use these evening dirt bike rides for, to notice these small changes and allow myself to just be fully present. You know, I've been riding these same trails for well over a year, but every ride is different. You know, the season's different, the time of the day is different. My comfort level on the bike is different. So instead of thinking about how it's the same trail, I try to remind myself of all those differences, you know, try to seek them out and appreciate them. How the trail feels a little looser around a specific turn, or how the light is filtering through the pinyon pines just right. How a flock of birds seems so out of place in the desert, or the first bit of snow that has just landed on the mountains across the valley. And it just forces me to be more mindful and present. You know, it's a reminder that it's all perspective, that I can choose to focus on the things that are the same, or I can choose to focus on the things that are different. That we all have that power to shift our focus and to make that experience we're in whatever we want it to be. You know, it's not the events that impact us, it's our judgment of the events, and we're fully in control of that judgment. So I think if we want to change our lives or how we view things, the first thing to do is just confront our judgment about all those things around us, you know, and to try to notice the subtle changes in everything. Even in the trails we might have rode 1,000 times, or the people we may talk to every day, there's always small changes going on. And I think in those small changes is this opportunity for joy. And I hope that you all appreciate the small changes in your everyday life. You know, you always have the option to do so, and it might just bring that little more joy. And that's what I hope we both get to do.